Mama, I showed up. It took me longer than it should have, and I didn't do it perfectly. But I got here. I got here.
I was 15 when my life split into two, before and after. Most people have a moment like that, a line in time they can point to and say everything changed here. Mine came wrapped in loss, and then in silence, and then in a letter I was never supposed to find.
Before 1999, I still believed in family, even a fragile one. My stepfather decided to leave Nigeria that year. He called it chasing a better life. My mother called it nothing at all. She just watched him pack and held her feelings the way Nigerian women of her generation were taught to.
I'll send for you both when I'm settled. It won't be long.
Travel well. In 2000, my mother died. In a single year, I had lost both of them. One to a foreign country, one to God. Except God at least had a reason I could hold on to. What hurt the most? One just would follow. The other one just had silence. What hurt the most wasn't just losing her. It was what followed. Or better still, what didn't follow. He never came back. Not for the burial, not for condolences, not even a simple visit to my mother's family. Nothing. Silence. For years. As a teenager, I didn't fully understand it. I just carried the confusion like a heavy bag I couldn't put down. But as I grew older, that confusion turned into something else. Hurt. Then anger. Then a kind of quiet that is harder to name. He should have come. Whatever happened between them, he should have come. One day I found a letter. It was from my mother. To him.
I don't know if she kept a copy on purpose or if God decided I needed to find it, but somehow it found its way to me. That letter broke me. Over 25 years later, I still have it. Not because I enjoy the pain, but because it reminds me of who she was, soft, hopeful.
She wrote to him the way only a woman who still loves someone can write. She didn't beg, she didn't accuse, she just told the truth. About how distance felt. About how she was holding things together with both hands and still smiling so the child wouldn't worry. About how she still believed in him even when the evidence was thin. She signed it the way she signed everything. With her whole name. Like even her signature was trying to be fully present. In 2007, Facebook did what Facebook does. It reconnected people who time and distance and choice had separated. I was in my own level then, still young, still, if I'm honest, still hoping. And there he was, after years of silence, a friend request, like nothing had happened, like 7 years hadn't passed since my mother died, and he didn't come. He spoke well. That was always the thing about him. The words were never the problem. He promised heaven and earth. Sounded like someone ready to finally show up. Sounded like someone who understood what had been lost and wanted to do better. I believed him. Nothing came of it. Years passed, and here is what I learned about certain kinds of people. They are not bad at promising. They are just not built for following through. And for a long time, I kept receiving the promises because some part of me wanted so badly for there to be a different ending to this story. I thought if I just stayed open enough, patient enough, available enough, eventually he would show up. Eventually, the debt to my mother's memory would trouble him enough to do something real. But some debts, I have learned, people choose not to pay. Not because they cannot, but because they have decided somewhere quietly, that the cost to their comfort is too high. 2020 came, 20 years since my mother passed, and I felt it deep in my spirit that it was time to honor her properly, with a tombstone, something tangible, something permanent, something that said to the world and to her, you were here, you mattered, your life was real, and your name deserves to stand in stone. So I called him. Maybe out of courtesy, maybe out of that stubborn remaining hope, maybe because I thought 20 years was enough time for a man to reckon with himself.
Don't do it. It's not your responsibility. Actually, my pastor said that if I do the tombstone, doors will open for me. So leave it. I'll handle it.
His pastor, his doors, his timeline. 20 years after my mother's death, and it was still about what was convenient for him. Okay, I hear you.
I listened, maybe out of respect for something I was still holding on to, maybe because I wanted to give him one more chance to be the person I needed him to be. So I waited. Again. He didn't do it. The pastor's doors never seemed to need my mother's tombstone after all.
In 2023, I lost my grandmother, the last strong link to my mother, the woman who held our family's memory in her bones. I called him to inform him, because that is what you do. Because somewhere inside me there was still a version of me that extended the courtesy even when the courtesy had never been returned.
Don't worry. I'll support. I'll send something for the souvenirs. You won't do this alone.
He sent 30,000 naira. I had already spent over 800,000. I remember staring at my phone, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. In the end, kind of laugh that isn't funny at all. The kind that comes out because something is so far beyond what you expected that your body doesn't know what else to do with it. I asked for his account details to return the money. It wasn't about pride. It was about principle. 30,000 naira was not support. I had too much respect for my grandmother's memory to let that stand unremarked. Between 23 and 24, I had a war inside myself. Not about him. I had long stopped expecting him to be different. The war was about me, about whether I was going to keep waiting for someone who had demonstrated very clearly over 24 years that showing up was not something he intended to do. I thought about my mother, about the letter, about a woman who gave her love fully to people who were not always careful with it, and I asked myself, what would it mean to truly honor her?
But before we go back to how it all began, pause for a moment, like this video, follow and subscribe. And also tell me where you are watching from. I want to know who is sitting with me for this story. Don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comment section.
In 2024, I didn't call him. I didn't ask. I didn't wait. I just did it. I commissioned the tombstone myself. Every detail, every choice. Yes, I want her full name, her date of birth, her date of death, and below that, loved, remembered, never forgotten. Yes, white marble, she deserves the best you have. I watched her name being carved, letter by letter, and I thought this is what showing up looks like. Not a wire transfer, not a promise, not a pastor's prophecy. Just a daughter standing in a dusty workshop making sure her mother's name is written in something that will outlast all of us.
She was a good woman? Your mother?
The best I've ever known. Installation day, I wore something simple. I didn't want ceremony. I just wanted to be there. To witness it. To stand on that ground and say with my presence what I had not been able to say for 24 years. I read her name out loud. Just once. Just for the two of us. When it was done, I sent him the picture. No long message, no explanation, no request. Just the photograph, the finished stone, my mother's name in white marble. Proof that someone showed up, even when he didn't. Till today, no reply. And somehow, that silence said everything I needed to hear. I've read that letter many times over the years, but in 2024, after the tombstone was done, I read it again. And something I had missed all those years suddenly became clear. My mother had written, and I'm paraphrasing because some things belong only to the dead. She had written that whatever happened between them, she hoped her daughter would not carry the weight of it. She specifically wrote that. She said she hoped her child would be free, that she would not spend her life waiting on people to give her what she already had inside herself. She knew. She knew I would find this letter. She knew I would need it exactly when I was ready to understand it. My mother didn't just leave me a letter. She left me a roadmap. And it took me 25 years to read the directions correctly. She wasn't writing to him. She was writing to me. There is a conversation I have rehearsed in my head for years. The one I would have with her if time folded and I could sit across from her just once more. You did well, my daughter. I missed you. Every single day I missed you. I know. But look at what you became without me holding your hand. Look at what you did. You showed up. That's my blood in you. That's mine. I kept your letter, Mama. All 25 years. I wrote it for you. Did he ever love you? In his way. But you don't need his love story to write yours.
Spent years telling myself to forgive him, telling myself to let it go, to move on. And truthfully, I'm still in that process, because some memories don't just fade. They sit quietly in a corner of you, waiting for a moment, a smell, a song, a date on a calendar to remind you they're still there. People talk about forgiveness like it's a switch, like one day you just decide and the feeling follows immediately. In my experience, that is not how it works. Forgiveness, real forgiveness, is more like a road than a destination. And some days you walk it well, and some days you are standing in the middle of it in the rain wondering why you're still on this road at all. I may not have fully forgive him yet, and I am done pretending otherwise just to seem healed. But here's what I know: I showed up for my mother. Every time he didn't, I eventually did. And that is not nothing. That is actually everything. Here is the plot twist nobody tells you about abandonment. Sometimes the people who leave create, without meaning to, a particular kind of strength in you. Not because their leaving was acceptable. It wasn't. Not because the pain was worth it. It wasn't. But because you had no choice but to figure yourself out without them. And in the figuring, you find things in yourself that comfort might have kept hidden. My mother raised me to be resilient before she had the chance to finish raising me. And somehow, 25 years later, I am still becoming the woman she started shaping before she left. That is her gift to me, and no one can touch it. Every time I come here, I think about the 15-year-old girl who sat on a hospital bench and waited for news she already knew in her bones. I think about the 20-year-old who read a letter and broke in the most necessary way. I think about the woman who kept calling, kept hoping, kept extending grace to someone who kept sending it back unopened. And then I think about the 30-something woman who finally stopped waiting, who picked up the phone and called a stonecutter instead of a stepfather, who stood in a dusty workshop and watched her mother's name become permanent. Mama, I showed up. It took me longer than it should have, and I didn't do it perfectly, but I got here. I got here. I'm not telling this story for sympathy. I want to be clear about that. I'm telling it because I know there is someone watching this right now who has been waiting for someone to show up for them. A parent, a partner,
A person they give years of grace and patience to. And that person keeps not coming. I want to tell you what took me 25 years to understand. The waiting is not the love. Showing up for yourself is the love. Honoring the people who deserved better. Even when the ones who owed them have gone quiet, that is the love. Doing the tombstone yourself, whatever your tombstone is, that is the love. He never replied to the photograph. And I have made my peace with the fact that he may never. Some people are not built for the kind of accountability that requires them to look at what they did not do and sit with it. That is their work to do. Not mine. My work was my mother's tombstone. My work was keeping her letter for 25 years. My work was becoming as much as I possibly can. The kind of person she was writing about when she wrote that letter she left for me to find. Forgiveness is a decision I keep making, even when my heart is still catching up. Even when the anger comes back on the anniversary. Even when I see a father and daughter together somewhere and I feel what I missed. I keep deciding. Because that is what she would have done. And I am my mother's daughter. 25 years. I still have it. I will probably always have it, not because I enjoy the pain, but because it is the most honest thing anyone has ever left me. And because every time I open it, I remember that I come from a woman who loved fully even when it cost her. And that is not a burden, that is an inheritance.